welcome to the another episode of Mind Over Matter. I'm your host Sushmita, and today we have an amazing guest with us, Emily Guerra. Emily is a productive life coach, mindful productive speaker, and a founder of the Productive Flow. She's dedicated to help self-employed women break through mindset barriers and master the system, tools, and routines that drive meaningful daily progresses. Emily, it's fantastic to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to chat with you today.
Glad for that. To start with, your journey from aspiring wedding planner to productive life coach is fascinating. Can you share what inspired you to make this shift and how it impacted your life?
Yeah, so the shift truly wasn't my choice originally. So I unfortunately graduated in 2020, right at the start of the COVID-19 lockdown. And because I was doing wedding planning all throughout high school and college, I had two wedding planning jobs lined up for my postgraduate life. But given lockdown began, weddings stopped. And so I sadly lost both of my postgraduate jobs before I even started. And I spent that summer honestly sulking, being a little mad at the world. But then I realized that I was really giving my power away and that I really was not living my life, and I was kind of allowing outside circumstances to dictate my future. And so I really wanted to take my control back. And I did that by starting to freelance out different social media services for a handful of entrepreneurs that I knew. And within a couple of months, I had a full blown freelancing business, several clients, a lot of deliverables, and it allowed me to, number one, just be on my own and build that independence and that freedom that I was really craving. But I also started noticing some themes within my clientele, which were all entrepreneurs. I realized that nobody had work life balance, that nobody had a clear vision or clear goals. And so they didn't have the systems or the tools or the habits to help them achieve those goals. And so I naturally, just because I'm so obsessed with mental health, with systems, with productivity, it's just who I am in my core, I naturally started helping my freelance clients out. And I empowered them so much that they were the ones who actually suggested I start a coaching business. And so that's what I did in 2022. And ever since, I have been helping entrepreneurs and freelancers really overcome different mindset hurdles, as well as systemize their work from home life so that way they can actually achieve not just greater productivity, of course, but true work life balance.
That's inspiring. Mindful
Oh, thank you.
productivity. Mindful productivity is a key focus of your work. How do you define mindful productivity and why is it important?
Oh, I love this question. So, when we think about productivity, we think about doing, right? We think about action, hustle culture, pushing us kind of beyond our limits until, like, so that way we could do it all and do it all in less time. And that kind of perception of productivity really does not take into account how our brain works, how our body works, how our mindset works, our energy, right? And so we have to take all of that into account. And that's what mindful productivity does. It takes your entire body and your brain and your thinking patterns and your habits, everything that makes up you, it takes that into account. So that way you can actually systemize according to how you work. And you no longer have to fight against yourself, but really you work with yourself. And when you make that pivot, and you actually can sit down at your desk at the beginning of the day and you feel prepared. You no longer feel overwhelmed because you've already done the systems and everything that help move you along. Being productive is natural. It's easy. It's not something that we have to really force ourselves into. And so that's the pivot and the shift that I really empower my clients in making, and whatever that looks like in their own life. So in essence, it's about leaving the hustle culture behind.
Yeah. You emphasize the connection between the productivity and mental health. How do you improve productivity positively impacting mental health?
There are so many ways to really unite productivity and mental health. So if we think about the common kind of hurdles to productivity, they're typically individualized kind of mindset hurdles, right? Let's think about overwhelm, procrastination, being super stressed out, being disorganized, getting distracted. These are all things that happen in your brain, right? And so taking that into account is really how you connect productivity and mental health. So I love kind of creating systems, automation, tools, workflows, whatever the case may be, with your mindset and your mental health in mind. And that's kind of the uniqueness of my coaching and what most productivity coaches do not do, right? They just worry about the systems and the actual tools. Whereas I look at you as the entire person, right? Because you're not just your work, you're also your life. And so we have to take that into account. So of course, everything is really tailored and customized to each of my clients because everybody's different, right? But at the core of it, it really is about uniting different mindfulness techniques with productivity techniques. So that way your entire day feels like a flow and a rhythm rather than a rush.
Okay. Your approach includes insights from therapy and neuroscience. How does these disciplines inform your coaching methods?
Oh, they inform my coaching methods so much. So number one with therapy, I have actually been very fortunate to be going to therapy ever since I was a little kid. It was probably one of the best things that my parents ever did for me. My parents got divorced when I was around 9 years old. And so when they got divorced, they put me into therapy to kind of help cope with that. And I've stuck with it ever since. And so therapy is honestly my number one teacher because it really takes the entire individual into account. And that's what I want to bring into the productivity lens in each of my coaching sessions. And then for the past probably, I guess, 10 years now, I have just been obsessed with reading books, learning from neuroscientists, understanding different research studies, and all of the things all about neuroscience. So that way I can actually understand how my brain works, how I can change my brain, and how I can make it work in my favor, right? Instead of against me. Because I have ADHD, we all have a negativity bias. There are just things that can prevent us from putting our most productive foot forward. And so knowing that and taking these neuroscience kind of science-backed tips and habits and hacks really is how you use your brain as the superpower that it is. It's how you boost productivity without wasting energy, without overwhelming yourself. So I definitely bring in therapy and neuroscience into every single session. Honestly, probably every single conversation I have,
Mm,
definitely a passion of mine.
okay. Work from home lifestyle has become more common. What are some key strategies for creating productive and balanced work from home environment?
Oh, such a good question. So it's definitely super, super common now, right? Like almost everybody has some kind of work from home routine, right? There maybe fully work from home, like a lot of entrepreneurs and freelancers that I work with, but I also work with a lot of corporate people who, have a hybrid schedule and are in office half the time and then work from home half the time. And so the biggest things, the biggest gaps, I should say, that I see in most of my clients that once they implement these tips, their life honestly changes. Number one, it's creating a separate space for your work environment when you are at home. So, for instance, when I used to live in a one bedroom apartment and I worked from home full time, everything was in that one bedroom, right? There was no separation of space at all. And so I had to really create that for myself. And I used that by using different furniture. So I had my desk in the corner of the room, and then I would also use light to really differentiate, okay, this is my office space. And once I'm done working, I turn off my lights and I do not go in that part of the room anymore. So it's kind of like creating that separation for you. And what that does is it triggers to your brain, kind of like how when you get into the car and you drive to work, that triggers to your brain, okay, I'm going to work. I'm getting into my work mode. It's time to work now that I've arrived. Well, the same thing happens when you create that separation in your own space. So it's like, okay, I'm entering my desk area. This is my office area. So it's triggering and signaling to my brain that it's time to work. And then once I leave that area, it's signaling to my brain, okay, work is over. Now it's time for relaxation, personal life mode, right? So that separation of space is one tip that is really easy to do and so impactful. Now, the second thing that I find to be incredibly empowering for work life balance, especially when working from home, is having some kind of workday shutdown ritual. Now, what I mean by that is just an end of workday routine. A couple little things that you do at the end of your workday to help signal to your brain, okay, I'm wrapping up work. It's no longer time to think about work. I'm letting work go, saying goodnight, putting it away, and now I'm going to go enjoy my personal life, right? So it's just another way to signal to your brain and really trigger that work-life balance. And so some things that you can do during your workday shutdown ritual is I always love to review my day, right? What did I get done? What worked? What did not work? What did I not get done? What do I need to add to my calendar for the rest of the week, right? And then I'll also do a little bit of journaling about how my day went, if I was able to hit my goals, how my self talk was. And then I will outline my day for tomorrow. So I call me old fashioned, but I have a physical planner that I truly love in tandem with my digital planner and my calendar. But I love having a piece of paper to look at every single day. So I will fill that out throughout my workday shutdown ritual. So that way in the morning, when I get to my desk, I already have an action plan. I don't have to think about it at all. It's there. All I need to do is act. So if you can implement those two things, you, number one, are using your brain as a superpower that it is because you're triggering it and you're helping it, right? You're working with it instead of against it. And then you're also creating better work-life balance because you're creating that separation of space and these routines that help you trigger when work mode is on and off and when personal time is on and off.
That's great. And finally, looking ahead, what are your goals and aspirations for the future of your coaching practice and personal journey?
That's such a fun question. So, my big goal for 2025 is to really start speaking on more stages. And I have been exploring the public speaking world and just diving into that a little bit. And I think that very much ties in with my mission of empowering as many people as I can to escape the hustle culture and burnout for good. And so the more people I can speak to, obviously, the more coaching clients I'll probably get. But at the end of the day, it's really just about making sure that I am empowering as many people as I can. So definitely public speaking is one of the big things that I want to work on. And then coaching wise, just meeting as many wonderful and amazing and empowered clients as possible, just so that way I can really help change and shift the hustle culture.
Thank you so much, Emily, for sharing your incredible journey and insights with us today. Your work is a powerful reminder of the importance of mindful productivity and leaving the hustle culture behind.
Thank you so much for such lovely questions. This was a joy.
To our listeners, I hope you found this conversation as enlightening and inspiration as I did. Remember, achieving balance and productivity is possible with the right mindset and strategies. Take a moment today to reflect on how you can incorporate these insights into your daily life. Until next time, stay mindful and be well.